Yo, welcome everyone to Bleed Show. Your boy Bleezy back here again. I got something special for you today. Finally ready to give you guys a Venomancer tanking guide. Okay, now this is a fresh 60. The gear is not great yet, but I'm already doing a lot of damage and I'm staying alive and a lot easier than on my Blood Mage, I will say that. Now the thing about, if you've seen my Blood Mage guide, go check it out if you haven't. It's on my YouTube right now if you're looking for a tank to play. It's really hard to say whether you should pick Blood Mage or Venomancer. They play completely differently. Venomancer obviously has a lot more going for it as far as buttons to click, maybe, defensive cooldowns, and it wears mail armor. So you're probably, I would say, you would have an easier time if you're new to tank. You would have to be a little less reliant on a healer if you make mistakes as a Venomancer compared to a Blood Mage. Now you see I do have a little, this almost looks like my werewolf Blood Mage, but it's just a pet right here. I brought him with me for this video. I did get my Blood Mage to 60. I was having a lot of fun with it, but Venomancer, so I play Warlock and Druid in normal WoW. Venomancer kind of plays like a rogue and a cat druid, kind of, in a way. In the way that it has poisons. We're going to go over everything in this guide, okay? One, we're going to go over spells, abilities. I made a bunch of weak auras. I updated my weak auras pack. There'll be a link below for the Wagyu link or whatever it's called. Wago, whatever. You know what I mean. You can go download it now. It's updated. I'll show you these weak auras. There's a lot of buttons to click, and actually some of your best ones you don't get till the very end of your talent trees. So it's like a whole new game once you get to 60 or close to it. Especially 55 and up, you start to get some crazy talents. Now, it's going to be, I'm going to show also my rotation on hitting these dummies over here in Stormwind. I will tell you right now, there's only a couple ways for me to really show off my whole rotation, because a big move and a big part of my breakdown, if I just do this really quick, are moves where I have to take some, I have to take some damage. Oh, that's really hard. It's dynamic trading dummy, where I have to take damage. If you'll notice, we'll go over all of this. If you've ever played Monk in retail WoW, there's this thing called stagger. You kind of have that here, in the same way, it's not the same, but exposed flesh stacks. You actually need to be taking damage for those to start stacking. This number right here, we'll go over all this, I promise. It increases your physical damage taken over a certain amount of time. Stagger is more like you take the damage over time, so it is different. But you have a lot of moves that rely on you expelling those stacks, and they can either do damage, put up a poison, which is a huge part of your breakdown. I'm not going to be able to show it very effectively on a single target dummy here. We'll do my best, and I can still go over here and AoE some dummies. But if you're expecting the same 8 to 9k on this 6-pack over here that I do on my Blood Mage, it's just not possible. I might put in a little bit of dungeon gameplay, but I have a ton of Venomancer gameplay already up for my whole leveling process. I'm always top damage, same as Blood Mage, okay? I'm always top damage, and if I'm not, I'm like, what the heck? So, I promise you, it's a great class. It does a lot of damage. Does it do as much as Blood Mage? Well, let me get some more gear and I'll answer that question. But for now, I can tell you it does plenty of damage. I'm out DPSing most DPS specs, just like Blood Mage. I'm doing a ton of self-healing. You have to learn, how to use your cooldowns, just like any other tank. That being said, let's start with talents. We'll go into weak auras. If you notice, this class is kind of like a druid right away. I mean, I love this class. It's so much fun. So, as someone who's played Druid and Warlock my whole life, hopping into Blood Mage and Veno has just felt amazing, okay? It just feels exactly what I've been waiting for so long now. Wow. But, let's focus here. So, you do have some form abilities. We'll just go over very quickly talents, abilities, etc. But just know before we start anything, you have spider form, human form, what I'm in right now. Think of spider form like cat, feral cat form. I mean, again, this plays like Rogue. It has Venoms. You have to choose which ones you want to use. We'll go over all this. And you also have a stealth, in spider form you can stealth. I don't have it in my bars right now. I literally just set my tank bars. That's pretty much it. But I'm ready to go. So let's start with talents first of all, because you gotta know like the main breakdown of this class. Let's figure it all out together. If you don't know, that's perfectly fine. If you already know and you're like, oh, this is wrong, I'm telling you, I spent some time on this and I'm very, very happy with the results. So we optimized it for my leveling process. Obviously, there were some talents that were better placed now that I've seen what does the most damage. Now that I see what gets you through dungeons the fastest. And I will say this spec could be optimized a lot more for single target. But if you are doing any like 2, 3, or dungeon pools, especially multi targets. If you know me, if you see my gameplay, I go from boss to boss to boss, and I pull everything in between. I would pull boss. Sometimes we did pull bosses into next bosses, but oftentimes in this game they'll reset if you pull a boss too far. So they usually kind of force you to stop, but I go, okay? My goal is to get to the next one as fast as I can and get through it. So let's just start with the class tree over here. This class tree is what every spec can choose from their abilities out of. Over here would be your spec tree. So take your time here. You can look through these yourself, but I'll go over the main ones. It would take way too long to go over every single ability, every single talent. That's not what this guide is. I'm focused on the tanking spec. This is called the Fortitude spec. And you notice this is actually the only one that has Agi. I'll move my camera real quick. This is the only one that has Agi stamina. So you are an Agi stamina instead of intellect on the other specs in this class. So just keep that in mind. And obviously your main secondary stats you'd want to aim for generally is dodge, parry, normal tank stats, right? But, you know, beyond that, you do have crit is really good. Not as good as on BLOODMAGE. If you're wanting to go more damage, I would lean into crit. Spell power actually does affect your cast. We noticed this, so it's weird. Intellect and spell power and whatnot, they do affect your abilities. I would not recommend stacking those. You do have some passive talents that help some of these abilities scale with spell power. But don't like grab attack power. Don't grab like melee autos, stuff like that. You're aiming for agi, stam, and then, you know, your typical hit. Also, don't forget about hit. You know, there's a cap on hit in this game. You want to get it as a tank so your taunts don't miss. And then I would probably just aim for tank secondary stats until you know exactly what you're missing or what you're needing. If you're needing more damage, maybe lean into crit. Because you do hit a lot at once, okay? And those crits do matter. You'll gain rage off certain critical strikes. We'll go over those talents in just a minute. Let's start with the class tree. Everyone slow down. This is WoW. Nothing's that hard. Especially after coming from BLOODMAGE. Okay, this is not as hard to master, I would say. Don't get me wrong. This is a very, very strong class. I say that and you're going to be like, oh, well, I'd rather play the one that's harder. Well, this one's definitely not easy to master. Don't get me wrong. It's just a lot more buttons, it feels like, than BLOODMAGE has. So as long as you know when to click those, and buffs, and different debuffs, there's just a lot going on. Let's get into it. Hive Instinct. The swarm starts within you, preparing you for battle, instantly generating 100 rage. It also gives you energy. Skulking, if you see right here, that just means you are in spider form and stealthed. You have to be both of those to be skulking. Now, I switched over to Night Elf. Shadow Meld's usually over here on my bars. I'll go ahead and put it up ASAP. I just now made this switch today over to Night Elf because I'm going to be PvPing also in spider form. Can't wait to put up those videos. We have it all set up. I got some gear for it. It's going to be fantastic. I look forward to those the next day or two. I cannot wait. As a feral cat main, oh my god, I cannot wait. But listen, let's just focus on tank spec. We're still going to be PvEing and tanking, main tanking, off tanking on both of my tank classes. So just know that the important part of this is you gain 100 rage. Now, you will notice, even when I go attack these mobs over here, my rage is bouncing on this class. It goes a lot, especially if you have some heals rolling that eat your rage. We'll go over in just a moment. But this is going to be very important. It's a long cooldown, but it is a very important cooldown, especially if you're needing it for defensive sake. You might say, well, 100 rage, that sounds offensive. Well, it could be. If you're on the last boss or a boss, you just want the rage and you want to dump some extra rage into it. Okay, that's not going to be a huge DPS increase, though. It's mostly for keeping some heals up. We'll go over in just a few. And Venom Weapon. So go ahead and put this on your party members at the beginning of your dungeon, raid, etc. It's going to put it on all of your nearby allies and gives them 5% chance to launch a jet of poison at their target whenever they deal damage. So this is just a buff. There's no other replacements for it in this class. You have several that we'll go over that you do have options to use. But for now, just go and put this somewhere where you put it up all the time. It's a pretty good buff. So again, take your time and read these if you want. I have chosen to opt for the best tanking and dungeon and best giant pool spec. Having fun. We got an ego. We got something to prove. We have healers to terrorize. We have DPS to terrorize too. They've got nowhere to hide. Get your details going, and we will show you exactly what I mean. Weakening Venom. So I end up using. Let's just go over Venoms real quick. So if you've ever played Rogue, you can put on like crippling poison or instant poison, etc. And you have other options. You can only have 2 up at a time, right? 1 for both weapons. Well, you can just you don't put these on your weapons. You just kind of buff yourself with them. Venoms, like Blight Venom, that's going to be your most DPS, ends up being like 30% of your breakdown even before talents. So it can be more than that depending on your pulls, how big your pulls are and whatnot. I go for this one no matter what. Okay, it's just too much damage to miss. 30% chance to poison an enemy, dealing nearly 2,000 shadow damage over 9 seconds. And you have a lot of talents that increase your proc rate, your damage, the effectiveness of these venoms. So now, I go for Weakening Venom next. We pick it up right here. And that's really for... This one is the one you can change if you want to. If you have like a niche pool, like a niche boss or a niche situation where you think something would be better. But just know, when you have a gigantic pack of 20 mobs hitting you, okay, sometimes, no exaggeration, 20 plus, this will put up not only damage, but it'll reduce attack power for all of those that it hits. And so your AoE can apply these poisons to them. Okay, so if you AoE and you hit all 20 of them, and even 10 of them, even if 5 or 10, 7, whatever, get hit with the Venom, and you're constantly AoEing, right? You're spamming your AoE just like any other tank. So eventually it is going to stack up on a lot of mobs if they stay alive long enough. Hopefully they're dead way before it matters. But 241 attack power subtracted from all of those mobs that are meleeing you to your face is quite a bit of health save, quite a bit. Now you are a male class, you can kind of get spanked a bit more than non-blood mage and still be alright. Spindle Bind, this is the one ability that you might... You're going to say, why would you get this? Why would you get this? I had to get this to continue down my tree unless I wanted to go into like healing stuff that takes me out of form. I had no better options. This is the one talent point I regret having to take, but you have to. So now it's not useless. If you're running through a dungeon, okay, and you got mobs behind you and you're trying to dash ahead like M+ style, I do this in regular dungeons. You can go into spider form and use this and it'll root them behind you. It'll still do damage. You don't want to be in spider form throughout your dungeon. Okay, now this is the only spider form only ability that I have, meaning do not get any other, try not to get any other abilities where it takes you out of form, such as these heals right here. You don't want to be out of your tank form any more than you have to be. Shouldn't have to say that, but seriously. You're going to say, well, why would you get this? Same dummy said, why would you get hemostasis on Blood Mage? You wrote like a whole dissertation on why you shouldn't. You have to. You can't continue down the tree without getting it. Same thing with Spindle Bind, unless you just want to waste points. Literally would never click this. So, something you might click occasionally over something you would never click. Let's just move on. You can read these if you want. I'm going to go over the main ones. But take a moment, pause. Tome of Akhehet, this is a passive one you definitely want to get. It's going to just... throughout the fight many times, it procs a lot. It'll reduce your next heal or your next AoE ability by its 100% cost. We'll go over why that's especially important once we get into these heals. But even just if you're AoE spamming, it'll make every third or fourth, sometimes it depends on how lucky you get, will proc a it says 8% chance to... It's 8% chance per damaged enemy. So if you are hitting 10% or 10 mobs at once, you can do the math. It's going to be a lot of, 80% chance that you are going to proc this. And then your next AoE ability will have no cost. So, really good. Pinch, you can disarm someone and it applies Weakening Venom. Again, this is a talent you need to take to get down into here for my capstone talent. Burrow's really good, and you definitely just want these, is why we go this route. So... you could optimize for single target here a little bit, but I promise you, for dungeon pulling, there's nothing better in this spec tree. If you have found something better, I'd be happy to hear it. But you haven't. Okay, now, to finish off your class tree, some big talents here. Lifeblood. This does not take you out of form. Okay, you can be in tank form, use it. It's going to heal you. Puts a... I'll just read it. Embraces... reducing damage taken and pushback from casting spells by 20%. The important part is, okay, 20% less damage. That's a big cooldown. Last 10 seconds. And every single ability you use while this is up puts one of these venoms up. It's called Rejuvenating Venom. So this will give you a 20% chance to heal a random ally or yourself within 30 yards for a certain amount over a certain amount of time. Now, we don't actually use this optimally. I have it on my bars over here in case I'm in a group where like the healer is straight up a new player, which is fine. I would just rather heal myself than have Weakening Venom in that case. There's also other Venoms you can choose from, such as like casting. If you know you're facing a caster, like PvP and Spider, you might use this. If you're in an arena where it's like double mage, right? Casting speed. Or Debilitating, which is a slow, which would be a lot better for PvP, but we also have talents that will slow our enemies around us, so we don't need this necessarily in PvE. I know the M+ tanks out there are like, oh wait, kiting? Of course I want to slow them. Okay, we can already do that in different ways and not have to sacrifice way better and way more damage from way better poisons, venoms. Okay, so Lifeblood, put it somewhere where you're going to use it. We've talked about a few cooldowns, but we have a lot of defensive cooldowns coming up in the spec tree and in just the natural learned talents from leveling up. Burrow, okay, now this is a very important spell, and it's going to take some getting used to. Okay, because it might sound, why would you ever use this? But it has saved me on stream probably 100 times already since I've learned it. And it's going to piss people off in your group occasionally. But you have to decide, would you rather die and have a wipe or sacrifice one of your teammates? Okay. Sometimes multiple teammates. Just hear me out. So in Burrow, you actually go immune. Right here is Burrow. You go immune for, I believe it was 6 seconds up here, something like that. And you take no damage. It removes negative effects on you. It's a fantastic spell. But it does drop aggro on people. Now, you can kind of play around with this with our capstone talent we'll get to in just a moment to make it less deadly for your teammates. It'll take some getting used to. Some people are going to have to die for you to learn, and that's a sacrifice. That's a sacrifice we are willing to make on this channel. Okay, absolutely. Let me just quickly say, I'll move my cam while we go over the capstone talent. Now, I can only move it so much in this Ascension game because the talents are just, the chat just goes crazy. Just so you guys know, I'll scroll over these because the camera was likely over it. Weakening Venom. We go down here to just get a lot of defensive talents. Magic defense, a lot of stuff. The main point we were aiming for is this Chandra's Lair. Okay, Chandra's Lair will put an area around me for 8 seconds, and enemies will be unable to target into or out of the lair, and their movement speed is slowed by 60%. So, let's just imagine I pull huge, and I'm like, okay, this was a little bit too much. I might have messed up. Burrow is on cooldown, and by the way, Burrow's a 5-minute cooldown. It's going to save your life, so it's kind of like Apotheosis. Not even like Apotheosis. It's not as good as that from BLOODMAGE, but it will save your life. You would want to, optimally, if you can time this well, Chandra's Lair over all these mobs that were just pulled in next to you, right? You have maybe way too many you pulled. You're like, what the heck? I thought this Bleezy guy said I could do all this. And you're just not ready yet. You know, we haven't practiced enough. Okay. I would Chandra's Lair and then Burrow. Okay. Those mobs, they will drop aggro, but they're going to be very slowed. And so they're going to start running toward the next highest threat. Hopefully, hopefully that person's far away. But you can be healed while you're burrowed. People can still heal you. Your passive healings will still proc. All of that stuff. So it'll give you an extra second or two, and this really will save you. An extra second or two to kind of receive a heal, and then you can cancel burrow just by clicking it again. So you're going to want to do that quickly, as soon as you can, because you don't want someone to get nailed. It's probably going to be your healer or the next highest DPS, someone close. You're going to have melees in that web too, so your teammates are at risk. It's really just a last resort, okay? But it's a nice little combo. You don't have any better capstone talents unless you want to go just purely single target, and it's just not this. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're about here. So while it's not the best capstone talent, we do have a lot better talents coming here over in the spec tree, so let's get into that. Okay, this is the expulsion move. If you noticed, if you heard me a couple minutes ago, here, I'll move my cam back now. There is a thing called exposed flesh that you can get up to 10 stacks or more. If you go these single target builds, you can get up to like 15. It's just not worth it on AoE. But you'd use those in different ways for a few different cooldowns. This one isn't a long cooldown. It's your main spec talent, I guess, or one of them. You really have several. So say you have some exposed flesh stacks. I can just hit like something over here. Okay, I have one right here. This is my, don't just ignore these whirlcores. We'll go over them all and there'll be a link below. I have 2. This is a tank training dummy, so it's just hitting me. Now I have 3. This button right here is expulsion. So I'm going to expulsion and it's going to take my stacks, clear them like stagger on a monk, right? And so it put up a poison on them. It lasts longer, 1 second per stack. And you also have other moves we'll go into, such as regrow exoskeleton. It'll last a second longer. That's a nice defensive cooldown. We're about to be there, so I'll just wait. Carapace Regeneration. Okay, so this is one of the main hardest things to get used to as this class. Carapace Regeneration takes your rage and then converts it into health, right? Now, this stacks up to 3 times. You have 3 charges, 20-second recharge per charge, whatever. If you notice, it falls off. Okay, so to remain active in the same way that Blood Mage, what's that move? It drains your rage. Apotheosis drains your rage. It will quickly deplete your rage if you have 3 stacks up. It'll heal you a good bit, but then you're out of charges, out of rage. You don't want to let your rage fall off. Now you can do things like this Hive Instinct we talked about to gain 100 rage back. 110 rage actually if you have talents. It will gain it back for you. If you heard me earlier, your rage will really bounce in this class, like a lot, okay? I do have a nice macro because there's even some times where you'd want to take this off. Cancel Aura, Carapace. Here, I'll move my cam again. Cancel Aura, cast Sequence, and there's 2 buffs in this game. It's weird. So I just have it double there, and then just spam this. If you're wanting to take it off, you're noticing it's not getting taken off immediately. Just spam this macro I just showed you. I'll put it right here. So if I use Carapace Regeneration, let's get in combat so you can see it ticking. This right here is my Carapace Regeneration weak aura. If I use my macro, it's going to take that aura off. And why you would do that is because sometimes you've used those to heal up, and then you notice you no longer need that healing, but you still have rage, and you would rather spend that rage on DPS rather than healing since you don't need it. So go figure, there's actually a good way to do that, to take it off. You just have to make a macro for Cancel Aura. And you can click it a few times, like if for some reason it's not falling off immediately. I noticed the macro is having issues, but when I put in a second time to cancel, it's perfectly fine now. So just spam it a couple times, it's fine. You have to. It's gonna take some getting used to. That's one of those things you're not going to master, just like any class, any spec. All of this is brand new here in Project Ascension to all of us. So we're all learning. There's some people who have played like the other realms, but these classes are brand new. The specs are brand new. So unless they had some like pre-alpha tests, which I'm sure some people did, we're all learning here. So now I happen to have a pretty good amount of WoW experience, so I'm very confident talking about these things. So Regrow Exoskeleton. This is another one of those, the more charges you have, or excuse me, the more exposed flesh stacks you have before using it, the better. What I won't say is wait until 10 to use either Expulsion or Regrow. Don't do that. As soon as you have a few stacks, or maybe even before then, depending on how many mobs you have hitting you, you'll gain those stacks really quick. But if you have like a pack of 10 on you, and you're like getting hit maybe slowly for some reason, or you just don't have enough stacks, you need to start, maybe you have to use these quite often on a huge pool, so you're not getting to 10 stacks each time. It only gives you additional time per stack. It's not more damage. So if you're at 3 or 4 stacks, go ahead and use this. Put up your poison on all of them. It's a big part of your damage breakdown. Huge part of your damage breakdown. Regrow Exoskeleton, if you're really needing a defensive quickly, don't wait for 10 stacks to use this. Use it as soon as you need it. It's 5 seconds, but an additional 1 second per stack. Optimally, you would wait for, a few stacks at least, and you're naturally going to get those anyway, because if you're needing a defensive cooldown, you're getting hit a bunch. So you're going to have some stacks. Don't overthink it. Just don't wait until 10 to use Expulsion. Don't wait until 10 to use Regrow. Don't wait till you're almost dead to use your defensive cooldown. Your healer will not like you. Venom Tip Poison. This is like a nice demoralizing shout, or a similar type of thing. It gives attack speed debuff. This is something you'll keep up on a giant pack. We'll go over all abilities and hit some dummies here in a second. When you have a giant pack, this does cost rage. Not a lot, though. So you've pulled everything. Put up your Venom Tip Poison. Put up your Expulsion. And then it's time to start AoEing them down. You can skip this if you don't have a lot, hitting you and it's causing you to die, right? If you're not needing the damage reduction, just skip it. You can just do an Expulsion and start AoEing with your main Carapace Crash is what it's called. Down here. Slam your body against the ground. Dealing damage. That's one of your biggest. You have a couple AoE moves, to be fair. It is nice coming over from Blood Mage and only having 2 over there. So take it. It's definitely worth it for huge packs. That will save you a lot of incoming damage. You'll get used to how to use all these. So again, take your time, read these if you want. Some of these you have to take just to get down. I will go over this one. So I call this shit rush. I know it's not necessarily how you pronounce it. We can call it poop rush, but this shitin rush, shitin rush, whatever it is, I take a cooldown on it with damage instead of the rage cost and range. Now, the range cost and rage would be better in PvP, but in PvE, this is not actually your main damage ability. It does do good damage, especially if you can pin them against a wall. I'll show you that in just a second. The cooldown and its damage by 15 will make it do quite a bit, but there's a talent somewhere in here that also gives you, it makes it apply wicked poison, which is great, and right here, damage dealt by shit and rush now increases your dodge chance by 1%, stacking up to 8. Okay, that is really good when you have tons of targets right next to you, which you always will have. I just have to kind of show this, why I take it, okay? So, beetle form, you need to be in it to use this. You need some rage to use it. So, let's say there's, how many is right here? 6 targets. Okay, we're not even getting the full value. Put up my expulsion right there. Even with no stacks, it's still a nice poison. Okay, what if I'm just needing some more dodge chance? And it does a lot of damage. Well, optimally, this will take you a long way. So, optimally, have a wall right behind you. I do this quite a bit. So, I can actually just hit this wall, and it won't put me too far away from the mobs. You know, everyone's hitting. If you accidentally miss and you go too far, or if you don't put a wall behind you, look what happens. So you got all these mobs hitting you, your people just put up their AoE in your dungeon group. They're like, tank, don't move, please don't move. Well, now I'm way over here. So you'd want to just put a wall right behind you, you know, try to make it so you're not losing a ton of DPS for everyone in your group if you can. Now listen, we have an ego, we're pulling big on this channel. So if they don't know how to keep up with the tank and we're moving forward, that's fine. They're going to have to learn the hard way. But it'll also help you move faster through the dungeons. It'll help you pull quicker. It does cost rage. Rage does go down out of combat, but if you're chain pulling, it'll help you move fast. And in between that and some spider move abilities I'm not going to go over, you can move physically very quickly through a dungeon. Like dash through it. This does do extra threat on its damage as well. So you can just rush right through them, and that extra threat will help them stay. Even if people start hitting them while you're moving, they will actually stay aggro to you. Aggro is pretty good in Ascension. I like it a lot tank-wise. Okay, so that's why we do this rush, and it is a little bit more important than lunge, or a little bit more important than a warrior charge, maybe. That type of thing. It does do more. It gives you dodge, and that's very good. Okay, you do have a nice stun. This is a fantastic move for giant AoE pools. When you've got them all together, there's probably great ways to play around too with your burrow to make it not as deadly. Stun at the right time. Chandra's Lair, they're now stunned and slowed. But most importantly, it does good damage, and it stuns him for 3.5 seconds. Okay, that's very big. You do need to be in beetle form. It's a 40-second cooldown. That's not as much as you may think. You should have it once every pool, especially big pools that take a few seconds each. Use it at the beginning. You might even get a second use at the end. Okay, sorry about that. We had a nice little server crash here on Volgen, just by the way. That's the one kind of thing with these private servers you gotta be ready for. Make sure you put your hardcore characters on Rexar like I do. Don't put your hardcore characters on Volgen. It goes down a little too often, but this is the more populated server, okay? Out of the two Conquest of Azeroth servers. Now, Ascension I am new to. They do have some other game modes that they're more known for. That's how they gain popularity, I guess. But this Conquest of Azeroth and these servers that are doing it, they're just way more fun, way more up my alley for like whole new experiences, these new classes, all this stuff. Like I mentioned, this is new to everyone, okay? All these classes, I'd say 90% of people didn't play alpha testing, so everyone's having to learn their spec, learn their class. Now Ascension and like Ascension mechanics, that's not new to everyone, but you know, it's WoW. It's all WoW at the end of the day in my eyes. I'm just having as much fun as I can every day I can while I'm here. So let's get back to the guide. Where were we? So Impale, a fantastic stun. Pull everything together, put your expulsion up. Make sure you hit this. It goes in like a straight line ahead of you, but it is a very good spell. We'll show all these spells in action. It's good for damage too, by the way. This can crit. It does like I said, a big stun. It's very good. So cover. Casting Harden now covers exposed flesh. I'll let you read these. I contemplate not getting this for a while, but unfortunately you need it. I would have rather have more exposed flesh, as funny as that sounds, and I just want to be able to expel those exposed flesh stacks on my own accord with expulsion or regrow. I understand why this is good. Like, it's only if you're using Harden, you are needing a defensive, and they're like, okay, well, he's probably wanting to get rid of his stacks. Then, well, yeah, probably. It's not gonna do you much harm, right? You're not gonna lose DPS or lose. Uh, you just might lose a little bit extra time on something you wouldn't need to necessarily. Like when you're leveling up, you don't have this, and you're never like, oh, I wish Harden cleared my stacks. Okay, it never happens. So while it's good, if I didn't need Locust Swarm, these next two abilities are, by the way, your best. It takes the class a whole new direction. It makes it so much better after these next two talents. It is insane. Now you can only get these as your last two, so I think it's literally 58 and 60 that you get these, or something like that. 57 and 59, something like that. Locust Swarm leeches 103 health from nearby enemies every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. So if you have a bunch of enemies next to you, that might not sound impressive. But if you have 10 and you put that up on all 10, you have more than 1,000 health coming in every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. And that, we pull a lot more than 10 sometimes. So keep it up, and you also get a lot better of a Locust Swarm with this Spider Lord. So if you've seen any of my gameplay videos, you see this little picture up here, or maybe it's over here. No, they don't even use it right there because they're like, oh, we don't need to even show it anymore. You are a beetle leveling up. You're more of a beetle than a spider lord, or whatever it's called, a beetle lord. And it's cool, but the form that you get at 60 looks really great. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I love this form. It's this one right here. The whole rest of your time, you're gonna be a beetle instead of this. What is it called? Instead of a spider lord, which is cool, but this does look way cooler than the beetle. Now, everything's the same except for these passives you get in Spider-Lord form. So, augments Beetle form into a Spider-Lord, reducing your damage taken by 5%, and while Locust Swarm, this ability we just talked about, is active, your summons now gain a 30% increased haste and damage. Now, you don't have summons leveling up that I'm aware of. This is all level 60 or 59 whenever you get this one. Casting Hive Break and Carapace Crash. Hive Break, we'll go over this. Just know that that's your main single target ability. That's your spender on single target and single target alone. Okay, you even on 2 target, you use Carapace Crash in this class. But if it's just 1 target, you use Hive Break as your spender. 2 target and up, Carapace Crash, 1 Hive Break. But either one of those, Hive Break or Carapace Crash, now has a 40% chance, and melee auto attacks also have a 15% chance to summon a Scarab to aid you in combat. Now, I'm not too sure what the Scarabs necessarily do other than just a little bit of damage. There's no indication they heal you. But, as you can read from above, they do 30% more damage and haste. That's only good, so I can only imagine that would be good. Casting Carapace Crash is something you're going to be doing 1,000 times a dungeon, if not more. So you can imagine it's going to be a lot with a 40% chance. You're going to have a lot of these. Not to mention melee auto attacks. It's been a long day. For some reason, I make these guides after a full day. It gets me all over the place. But I'm just so in love with this game. I'm so helplessly addicted. I have no choice. So every spec, that's it, by the way. That's it for this talent tree. We're going to hit some abilities and we'll wrap it up after that. Exposed Flesh. You can read these if you want. That kind of explains to you what I've already said. These are just passively gained talents as you level up. Primary attributes. Hit is important. You might even be at the point of getting only a piece or two and you'll be hit capped with how much hit you get from these talents. I've not done the math, but just make sure it tells you what the cap is. So just go into your character stats and find out. You do want a cap hit if you're raid tanking. That's a bit more important. And you don't want to miss taunts, etc. That can be a wipe. So clearing exposed flesh inside beetle form, I would assume also inside of spider lord form. Because even right now it says I'm in beetle form, even though I'm in spider lord form. This buff is still active. So I would assume that it means that as well. Clearing exposed flesh will now give you restores health depending on how many you use. Don't wait until 10 unless you have to, or unless there's really nothing to click. You will get hit. There's gonna be some pulls you get so often that 10 builds up pretty quickly. But don't wait until you're almost dead to use your regrow exoskeleton, etc. Or to maximize health regen. Increase your spell damage by 30% of your attack power and allows periodic damage dealt by expulsion to critically strike. You don't want to stack attack power. Okay, this is an agi stam class. It just makes attack power not worthless. There's a lot of mail and gear that is like agi stam, and they just throw intellect on it because there's a lot of different types of classes and specs in this game. And they kind of had to add in some new stats for new pieces of gear to make it all work. Don't stack that. But just know attack power and spell damage does give you something. Spell power does give you something. It's not useless. But don't stack intellect. You don't need mana that much. It costs mana to switch forms a lot, but you're not going to do that as often as you think. I'm only really switching forms to like move faster with spider form in between pulls. It does add up though. Critical strikes with damaging direct damage now apply protogenesis to you, stacking 10 times. At 10 stacks, all stacks are consumed and the cooldown of expulsion is reduced by 3 seconds. This is not something you want to weak aura. It's not worth it. Just know you're getting this and it's a good passive. Critical strikes are just going to heal you. Eventually you're going to just hit 10 stacks and then your next expulsion, which you are constantly using. So it's just not worth a weak aura. Just know that, you know, expulsion, use it as much as you can. It doesn't stack, so you would optimally want to use it, let it fall off, and then put it up right before it falls off or right after. Keep it up as much as you can. You are a tank, so you're using this defensively and offensively because it clears your exposed flesh, but it also does a lot of your breakdown. Okay, that's it. Let's go hit some dummies, right? There's no more abilities that are just like, you should see this for sure until I start hitting things. There's plenty in your spell book that you do want to see. For now, buffs, just know you have envenom weapons. You do have pheromones, so just like in a lot of classes, you have one of certain types of buff you can put on people, and you're the only one that you can only put up one of those. It's so hard to explain, sorry. Or I'm just stupid. Beetle pheromones, greater toxic pheromones give you spell power or an ally spell power, or an agi, 92 agi. Now, myself, I'm giving myself agi most of the time. If I just hop into a raid group, I'll do this, and then I'll replace my own with this agi one, so that everyone else at this point would have... You actually wouldn't use the greater. You would use the one that doesn't put it on the whole group. Just your regular spider pheromones. If I can find it. Spider pheromones, 92. It would actually be better for you and you alone, assuming you don't need the extra agi, like your gear is and your armor's fine. That's only a little bit of armor. Now look, if you want to go through each one of your allies in your dungeon and put on either spell power or agi for each of them, just make a mouse over macro. I would, if I were you, get into your dungeon, give them Mark of the Wild, sorry, not Mark of the Wild, Greater Beetle Pheromones, which is about the same thing. Now you would click it and it would be on everyone. Okay, let's just use the one that only gives it to myself. So Spider Pheromones instead of the Graders. The Graders do the same thing, but they apply it to your whole group array. So now, if I use this, everyone else in my group would have this one. So they're at least getting main stat and some armor to keep them alive. But I replace that on myself with 92 agi. That's a lot of agi. That's like multiple pieces of agi. That's like literally 4 or 5 extra pieces of armor of main stat. It's very good. It makes me think as long as you don't need that armor, which 340 armor is not that much. Your feet do 300 armor just with mail. So you kind of get what I'm saying. It would be better to put this on myself, and it doesn't remove your beetle pheromones from everyone else if you just change your own to spider. Okay, Venom Shield. You don't have any other shields, so just put this one up. Venom Shield just reduces like poison damage on you. It's kind of just like a class RP thing. Also magic damage taken though. Magic does a lot of damage in this game. There's mobs that hit you very hard, just like in regular WoW with magic damage. And we already have other things to take care of melee hits. So we become very tanky. Light Venom, this is going to be a big part of your breakdown. You do have this cool little move called Remove Venom, so if you are like switching in between, and you're a little bit better. I'm running out of keybinds really on this class. Like health pots go here. I'm running all these empty spaces. I usually have things for. I just haven't put them there yet. Jeez, I need to slow down. It's just wow. Okay, I'm too excited. So if like right before a pull, you're about to face a magic casting boss or like a melee boss, you would rather put on or like a huge pack you would rather slow for some reason, like maybe a ghost or something that melee you and you just want to. You can remove your poisons very quickly with remove poisons, like you just saw. It'll remove them. Just click it once or twice. So let's say I normally run with these, which I do. But this boss I'm about to face, okay, well, I'd rather remove that. And let's put up instead this and this, so that they do less melee and I can slow them. If it's like some melee one-shot ghost from Sunken Temple or something, I don't know. You don't even kill those, so you can think of something. Find a keybind for it. I would never click my abilities. That's a disgrace. Okay, do not do that. But right now I don't have any keybinds left. So, I'll figure it out. Just know, for overall dungeon pulling, I use Blight and Weakening. When you have 15, 20 mobs, there's going to at least be 10 plus that are meleeing you, and maybe a few casters, but who cares? You'd rather eliminate as much damage as you can. Weakening also does some damage to them, right? Yeah, 86 damage. So it's not worthless damage-wise. So with that being said, guys, on my bars, we can just quickly go over these abilities. And then we'll start hitting dummies. These are my main abilities here. Claw Strike. Smash an enemy up to 3 enemies with your claw. It generates rage and scales with your stamina. Does do a lot of damage. It's not your biggest. Carapace Crash will be your biggest AoE ability. So think of like Rock Claw in the sense that you do want to use this when it's up. But when you have a bunch of rage, it's way better to use your Carapace Crash instead of trying to use this if you don't need the rage. I'll show you. So when you start a pull, when you pull something, you need rage, right? They're gonna hit you, you'll gain rage. But this, if you use one, it will help you start scaling up your rage. You're gonna burn through rage really quick in this class. So use it, but now that I'm capped, it's not worth it even when it comes off cooldown right now to use this. Now, single target, you actually wouldn't even be Carapace Crashing, you'd be using High Break. Use High Break instead. But again, it's still worth it to dump rage with this instead of trying to build it with this when you don't need the rage. It's not Rock Claw that important. Right? It's not. You do notice I have 9 stacks up. Let's use Regrow Exoskeleton. That's a huge defensive cooldown. Now it's also going to last a lot longer with 9 stacks. But you notice I can still use Expulsion. I can still use these exposed stack spenders even with no exposed stacks. It's just not going to last as long. I think even without anything, it only lasts for 5 seconds. So try to avoid using it with no stacks. Obviously, it'll scale better the longer it lasts, and the least you're having to reapply it, etc. Okay. So we know Claw Strike. Use this at the beginning of the pull, or like while you're moving in between packs. Smack one with it, gain some rage. Carapace Crash. 2 or more targets. So even on 2, you wouldn't use High Break. Venom Tip Poison. Put this up early in the pool if there's a lot of people. Otherwise, just skip it. If you're needing the defensive, if you know you're going to be taking a lot of damage, if it's a massive pool, keep it up. You don't have to. If you're just burning them down, you're not losing too much health, just skip it. Go straight into Carapace Crash and Expulsion. So Expulsion, we know what that does. Vile Sting, that's just my taunt. High Break is your single target and single target only ability. So 1 target only. You don't do a lot of single target damage as this spec. It's the weakest part of the spec. You could go a little bit harder into single target, but it's just not worth it for me. You lose way too much AoE damage for a little bit more single target. It's not even like with those talents you do like 100% more single target, right? So rely on your teammates to burn bosses. You'll still do more damage overall by a long shot. Okay. Just not boss damage most of the time. Sometimes I still do, but that speaks more of my teammates, I'd say. Carapace regen, it'll take some getting used to. Because like, okay, let's build up a little bit of rage here and let's just use it. I'm just not going to spend my rage, let's keep autoing. Carapace will start to drain your rage. If you get up to 3 stacks, you'll notice it takes like all my rage super quick there. So I used ST right there to get even more. I'm going to use my macro because at this point I'd rather it just stop eating my rage. We talked about that macro. Okay, Lifeblood, we talked about it. Impale, talked about it. Regrow. Very big moves. So one more that you didn't take as a talent, Harden. Reducing damage taken by 45% and healing for 1% each time a stack is removed. So what it does is it puts like, how many on you? 15 stacks that slowly go down. So that damage reduction's falling down very quickly, actually. And if you're getting hit, each time you get hit, it also brings it down a stack. It is a great cooldown. Fortunately, it's 3 minutes. It doesn't feel that good, but it will save your life. It is very good for like a quick, you're in trouble, let's use this. Save time to build up my other stuff. Pinch, disarm, myotoxin, remove a enrage effect. Those are both very good. You will use those, especially in M+, it is important. You have some moves that are only in spider form, which I'm not going to go over. Some of them, you even have to be stealth, which is just not realistic. With Shadow Meld, maybe in a dungeon, you go from tank form to spider form, Shadow Meld, and then fear or stun. But it's just not optimal. There are going to be times you could use it if you're a Night Elf, you know. Otherwise, you're not going to be out of combat, within combat. If you Shadow Meld, those people are now running to the next highest threat. So, say goodbye to your healer. Parasite, we'll go over these. They're really cool moves. I'm looking forward to showing off in PvP in the next day or two. With that being said, guys, that's really it. You do have a dedicated kick on this class, which is great. You have a lure, which is like a distract if you are in stealth. I don't even have stealth on my bar. Let's see if I can find it ASAP here. Skulk. It's just stealth in spider form, so you can distract some people like that. It attracts their attention and it forces players to move. So you would want to face them away, maybe. Something like a distract. It won't work on these dummies. Or a rogue if you play rogue. Otherwise, just don't even worry. I don't use it, so. There's probably times where you could. Let's just hit a couple of dummies here. I won't be able to do good damage here, unfortunately. I'm not getting any stacks. These guys don't hit me. But expulsion when you can. Let's stun. Shit and rush right here. Might as well if there's a wall behind me. Therapist crash. I'm not doing my rotation even right here, but let's say I'm taking some damage. Yeah, I'm gonna use regrow exoskeleton. A nice little damage reduction taken. It doesn't last very long with no stacks. Expulsion, keep it up. Lifeblood. If I have trinkets, which I don't on this class, you would put them where you can use them. Right. My weak ores I am gonna leave. Oh yeah, locust swarm, keep this up. It's only 30 seconds. Its rotation is terrible, but it's okay. I'm just showing you the moves and how it all looks. Keep Locust Swarm up. Stun. Shit and Rush. I might even want a weak ore for Shit and Rush. Actually, Venom Tip Poison too. Don't forget that. If there's 6 or 10 mobs plus, you probably want to use that. Expulsion. Shit and Rush is more... It's not as much damage as you think. So just use it when you're needing the dodge chance or you're like moving into a pool. Right. Not a huge deal if you miss it. Or don't use it immediately. Trinket's up. Let's use a trinket. Kind of just bouncing between cooldowns. And the cool thing is, compared to BLOODMAGE, your cooldowns are a lot shorter than on BLOODMAGE. Like, you probably have about the same buttons overall, but your cooldowns feel a lot shorter. Use that stun. It's really good damage. I'm going to use my Harden and also use Expulsion, Shit and Rush. Might as well. Keep up a Venom Tip just because I'm going off. This won't be perfect damage. I'm not even going to worry about it. Let's use my 100% energy or rage move. Might as well. So anytime you see your lifeblood up, anytime you see your locust swarm up, pretty much use it. Unless you know it's the end of a pool and you're just going to save it for the next pool that you're about to start here shortly. Lifeblood maybe a little less so because it is a 1.5 minute cooldown. So maybe everything besides Lifeblood and Harden you would use pretty much off of CD. Literally. So, because there's no reason not to. It's only going to help your healer. It's a very short cooldown. If you have exposed flesh stacks, then they even last longer. So it's even less to worry about. Like you're saying, these pop up way earlier than they should in a dungeon. Venom Tip. Yeah, so not terrible damn, guys. I know you're used to seeing my 8k, 9k on this pack on BLOODMAGE, but that's just not the same class. This class is not weaker, necessarily. You have to remember, BLOODMAGE is sacrificing health the entire time. So imagine a Warlock, you are playing life tap and you're using it almost every ability as a tank, which is not the same thing. So with that being said, guys, that's pretty much it. If you don't want to pay attention to the weak auras, or you don't want to learn how to make them, I'll briefly discuss them, but there is a link below. Alright, now this spec is very fun. I love it. I can't wait to do some spider PvP. I have really good combos in mind now that I have Shadow Meld too. It feels great. Okay, I really like this ability, or really like these combos you can do, such as Chandra's Lair into a burrow. Like right here, they would be stuck. Even if you drop this threat, they're gonna start running toward your teammates, the next highest threat, but they won't be moving fast. You don't want to stay in burrow the whole time. But you will become immune, and they can't even run away quickly because of Chandra's Lair. So, and once you hop out, threat does go back to you. That's an important thing. So obviously hit your AoE as soon as you come out to make sure, but they will come back to you. The threat doesn't reset to 0. It just eliminates your current threat on the targets while you are burrowed, if that makes any sense. Guys, I think we covered it all. Take your time, okay? This is just WoW. This is just WoW. It's just a video game. It's not that difficult. But you just, give yourself some time to learn. All this is super fun and new to everyone. There's plenty of other combos. Like, switching into spider form does have some moves that are available to you. Only in spider form. So not useless. It's not what you're going to want to aim for in a dungeon. So, sub to the YouTube, follow the Twitch. If you don't want to pay attention to the weak aura stuff, I'll see you next, but very quickly. Just go download this weak aura pack if you want it. I'm going to be posting updates to it probably and all that. If you don't care, I understand. But if you want to, just quickly look at how I made these. You really just need only one of these, and you can duplicate and just change the spell name. So I do add a glow. Trigger is the important part. Just player unit info and then your spell. Not on cooldown show. So it's pretty much a warning to me that it's off cooldown. Some of these, you might even, this is a class where you might want to keep up like debuff on enemy weak auras, like that Venom Tip poison, if it really matters to you. So if Venom Tip falls off, you would want to reapply it. But it's not optimal, I would think, unless it's like a pre-made group on a Mythic 10, right? And you know this pack needs it up at all times. Otherwise, I'd just AoE him down. These are all really the same setup. You just have to go into trigger tab. I cannot speak right now. So if I wanted to make more of these, just duplicate. Click any of these, pretty much except your trinkets, and duplicate. And then just change the name to whatever you want to call it. Go into this trigger tab, and then just shift click or type in your spell into here for each of those. Now, if you just download the pack, you don't need to do that. So you can just have them already. The only thing you will need to do if you do that, go into these trinks. If you want to look at how I made these, all I did was go into the trigger tab and change a couple things here. Item, cooldown progress, shift click, or type in your, please shift click, don't type all that, into this right here, your trinkets. These are mine that I'm using, and these will change very often. So shift click into there, show not on cooldown, meaning it's a warning your trinket is up, use your trinket. The only other thing I do change is in combat, just so you're not walking around Stormwind with 9 icons glowing in your face. Put it in combat. They'll only load in combat then. And player class. These will only load on Venomancer. My BLOODMAGE ones should only load on BLOODMAGE. If I mess that up somewhere, then feel free to let me know. But both those packs are available. And guys, that's really it. Covered Venomancer tanking. I mean, this is, again, as much fun as I've had ever in WoW, especially as a tank on BLOODMAGE and Venomancer. Both of them are fantastic. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm doing more damage than most DPS specs, and you will too. Okay, on this channel, in our community here on the Pug Life, we terrorize healers, okay? Now, I play healer, okay? I play healer and DPS, but I'm also a tank now, so we're learning, and I'm starting to realize healers don't realize how good they've had it over these last years, so now that tanks actually are doing damage, it's time to make them pay, myself included. Let's end it there. That's a great spot to end it. Hope you enjoyed the guide. Go check out the BLOODMAGE one. Go check out all my Venomancer gameplay I've already put up. It won't be in this cool new form. It'll be in the old Beetle form, but you can go look. I'm doing tons of damage. It's really fun. And I'm staying alive, most importantly. a big thing about Ascension is people don't realize those healers are learning their class too. So, and I'm one to talk. I'm always dogging on my healers. But, you know, just remember we're all learning. And this spec and my Blood Mage spec are very good at just staying alive with minimal extra healing from anyone else. Sometimes, like on this class, I soloed a boss. That's the one of my short happened when I came back into a dungeon. And everyone had DC'd, and I was the last one there. I soloed the final boss of one of the new dungeons. And that was at like level 30. So, it was hard. I almost died, but that's no min maxing at all. I was wearing like cloth, leather, and you know, just leveling up, that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's a very fun class. In fact, this one's probably better for soloing content. I had someone ask me that on a previous video. If I had to compare them soloing content wise, I might go Veno simply because of the mail armor and a shorter defensive cooldowns. Are you sacrificing top end damage compared to Blood Mage? Maybe, but I'm not confident enough to say that yet. So let's wait for me to get some more gear, some raid gear, some better trinkets. And I bet my damage will be just about the same as Blood Mage. And if that is the case, with more defensives to click more often, I mean, Veno might take that top spot. We'll have to see. Either way, thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you on the next one. It's been a fantastic day on the Blaze Show. We had a great stream. I'll see you early tomorrow for the next one. Thank you, guys. See you.